Welcome to Camp Cookout Adventures. It's October, the sun's going down, and we're headed off into the woods for a night's camp. Gonna set up a campfire, get our stove cooking some delicious food, and have a great time. Come and join me. So how have we been, everyone? It's been a long time since I've managed to get out for a camp, and I'm really excited to spend another night in nature. Really missed it, simply not had the time, which will make this evening all more the special. You may remember this site. I have been here once before, in the middle of nowhere. We're actually on the side of a slope, so it's quite tricky terrain to set up a camp. So now we're here, we got a few objectives to do. We got to get a campfire going. We got to get a tarp overhead to protect us from the elements. We got to get our dinner cooking because I'm absolutely starving. And then we got to set up our hammock for the night's camp. There's a lot to do, and it's about 10 minutes till sundown. So let's get cracking. I've gone all out with the DD gear tonight. I've invested in several new things, new toys to play with. We have got, just in case it does rain and I get stuck out in it, a DD poncho tarp. Overall size is 2.5 meters by 1.4, so a pretty nifty bit of gear. I've brought along my DD hammock. We've used that on a few camps before on the channel, and this is a great big 3 meters by 3 meters tarp. I'm going to set this thing up nice and high overhead to give us a nice shelter for this evening, just in case it does start raining. Getting towards winter now, so the likelihood of that happening is very high, especially as this summer was a complete washout. I've also brought my Snug Pack Jungle insulated blanket. This is a DD Magic carpet. It's essentially just a waterproof ground sheet, which I'm going to put my wool blanket on top of. I didn't bring my chair tonight, so we're going to snuggle down on the ground. That's our extra large DD Magic carpet ground sheet. It is super thin and very, very lightweight. Also has a load of these loops in all the corners, so you can put your tent pegs down on it. Stop it from taking off in the wind. Although it's called a magic carpet, you might think it might be good flying, but it's certainly not what you want camping. This is an old military grade wool blanket. They're really good, very warm, and they're kind of spark resistant, so if you've got them near a fire, they're pretty flame retardant. The only problem with them is that they are rather heavy and bulky, and also if they get wet, they take ages to dry out. So we're going to set up our tarp. Hopefully you guys can see that, but this is a 3 meter by 3 meter tarp. It's got 4 pegs and it includes all the guy lines. Also says there's 19 attachment points, so all the way around where all these arrows are, you can attach guy lines and ropes and pegs as you wish. And it also has fixing points going through the center, so you can create a ridge line. We're losing light crazy fast. The sun's gone down and winter is surely coming. So what I'm doing now, I've got my paracord and I've tied it off nice and high up this tree. These 2 trees here are the ones that I'm going to use for hanging my hammock. So I want a ridge line that goes straight over the top of it to protect me from the elements. So the paracord I'm feeding through the central ridge line of the tarp itself. Oh my goodness, that was so much more of an ordeal than it should have been. You ever get those times when you're just completely fuzzy headed and nothing you're doing is working? I just had one of those moments with that there tarp. I thought that I lost the paracord and the pegs, which made it mighty difficult to put up, and luckily I had some paracord in my bag, and I've been making wooden pegs to kind of stretch it out and all the rest of it. And then as I was fitting the last cord and tensioning the last corner, I heard a jangling sound under my foot, and there was the bag of pegs and paracord that came with the tarp. So I spent way longer setting that up than I wanted to. It's even later into the night, and we've got no fire and we've got no cooking on the go. So anyway, I'm going to try something different tonight. Usually I go out and I use my Trangia 27 cook set. Well, for tonight's menu, I'm going to make a lamb Japanese curry with sweet potatoes and rice, which is very ambitious. And I want to do it in my big fat billy can. But the billy can doesn't fit on top of the Trangia 27 cook set, so I'm hoping that I've been super smart here by only bringing along the Trangia kettle and the Trangia base plate, which is usually the wind guard in which our little tiny stove sits inside. So normally that would go on the floor like that, and you would plonk your stove, your Trangia stove, in that hole. And then there would be a windshield which you would screw in the top, and then all of your saucepans and frying pans sit on top of that. This time, and I hope I've been clever here and not stupid, because the way things are going this evening, we're in for an interesting night. It's not off to a good start. Here is our little stove. I'm thinking if I plonk my stove down on a rock and then put this over the top, I've got a nice flat surface then in which I could place my billy can and cook off of there instead. So we'll see if that works. I sure hope that it will. First I'm going to need a nice flat rock for the Trangia to sit upon. And a little bit like Blue Peter, I've got one here already because I've had a camp here before. Something that's going to go right today. Look at that big Fred Flintstone looking frying pan. Whack that right down there and do all of our cooking right there, I reckon. Oh, I think that'll work great. It's just the right spacing. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is obviously this isn't designed for my burner to be underneath this aluminium windbreak. I hope that the hot flame isn't going to damage the bottom of my stove set. But we will find out, my friends. Get some fuel in there. We're going to be using lots of this tonight. We've got loads of cooking to do. My goodness, it is going to be a late supper. What time am I on now? Actually, it's only 8:10. Feels way later now that the evenings are starting to get darker much earlier, doesn't it? Oh, I thought I lost my ferro rod then. I keep it on my knife sheath. It's in my pocket. I don't know. I must be tired. There she goes. Put that over the top of there. Oh, dearie me. Now then, I've got all of my ingredients in my zebra can. It comes with a lid, obviously, but the lid also fits this nifty little like kind of frying pan that's within it. So I'm hoping to cook my rice in this bad boy and then stew up my lovely golden curry in the big pot. It's all experimental, you see. We will find out. That seems rather sturdy, don't you think? God, I got a bit of wood bark in my eye as well when I was putting up that tarp. It's alright, ladies and gents, I'll stop moaning in a minute. It's been a long day. While my kettle's thinking about boiling here, I'll talk you through my menu tonight. So I'm going to go with a classic Japanese curry. Now, Japanese curries, they usually have a meat, they have carrots and potatoes. This S&B golden curry mix. It comes in a big block. You add it with water and your meat and veggies of choice, and it's just a really lovely curry. Real hearty, real warming, which is exactly what I want for a long night out in the potential cold. So the recipe tonight, even though it's not traditionally Japanese, I never seem to find their recipes where they use lamb. So you might be able to call this a fusion inspired night tonight. Japanese and Cornish cooking combined. This is sesame oil. I'm gonna pop that in our zebra pot. Nice dollop of that right there. There's a sweet potato, which I'm gonna peel and chop up into cubes. Cube up my lamb, get all of that lot in the pot with half a lamb stock as well. I like to make my curries and my sauces extra umami and extra savoury, especially meaty, and lamb stock is just my favourite. It brings life to sauces and food. Got our rice steaming away there. I'm just going to top it up with some water and make sure it's getting plenty of moisture. Get in there. Took me ages to master rice. This isn't going to be perfectly cooked rice tonight because we're out in the middle of nowhere. The heat source is all over the place. This here base plate does not work with the burner underneath it. It's not getting the right amount of oxygen mixture with the fuel, and as you can see, it's burning rather inefficiently. If I put that pan over all of the air holes at the top, we get a big whoosh of flame and it's just not safe. So I won't be doing this again, and learn from my mistakes. You can't use your Trangia base plate as a stove top. We've got our zebra pot here. So far I've got some sesame oil in there. Get that over the heat. And here are our fresh ingredients going in. We've got 2 lamb steaks, beautiful lamb steaks, going to go straight in the pot. We have got a whole sweet potato that's been peeled and sliced thin. We've got half a lamb stock cube, and I'll whack in there and all. And at the very end, to add a little bit more extra spice, we've got a small Thai green chilli, and those things pack a whopper of a punch. And do a nice big pot of curry, and that one tiny little chilli in there is going to add so much spice you wouldn't believe it. Right, get in there you lot, and you. I'm just going to brown off the meat, give it a little bit of colour, then we'll add a load of water and our curry block. You can see the problem with my method. Having my little Trangia stove underneath there has really messed up the fuel to air mixture ratio. So it's not burning right, it's burning way too hot. And we got ourselves a problem for this evening. I'm going to keep my eye closely on this because it's not ideal. Now you open it up and it gets its proper airflow, then it starts burning properly, but I'm clearly cutting off too much of its ventilation holes when I put the saucepan on top. Yeah, you see it all coming up the side. We're in trouble, peeps. We're in big trouble. I'm going to whack all my ingredients in this one pot in a vain hope that I can actually cook this thing. Oh, if I don't get dinner tonight, I'm going to go to bed so grumpy. Right, let's just smash our curry block in there, shall we? Get in there. You know what? I'm going to do a 1-pot meal. That's my beautifully cooked rice. I'm just going to chuck that in there as well, I think. I'll try 1 spoon of it first. Oh, the rice is lovely. Oh well. Give it a stir up, and then I can get my lid on and try and cook up this thing. We've done so well on outings, and every now and again you just get one where it just doesn't go right. But you know what, with the right attitude it will go right. We've got to hang in there, haven't we, peeps? It'll be alright in the end. Well, I'm going to enjoy a little bit of my cooked rice as a starter. Hopefully this isn't all I get out of the main. That'll keep me going for a minute. Total disaster. So I'm on my very last bit of the bioethanol fuel,
And what I've done in desperation is to try and get a little bit more of an air gap. I've used the lids of the Trangia stove itself, the simmer lid and the one that you usually screw onto, to create a bit of an air gap, and also the little mini grill from my Campfire to try and get that oxygen fuel mix just right. Normally my little 750 milliliter can of ethanol fuel for the Trangia will do multiple days. I've used almost all of it now on this one pot and that rice. It's way inefficient, so I'll never do this again, trust me. Always use the kit as it says in the instruction pack. And what I'm going to start doing now is actually gathering a load of firewood, because I have got my Campfire here, a little elevated metal frame one. So if we get desperate and I need to continue cooking my zebra pot curry tonight, we might have to do it over the Campfire. Right, let's gather up some wood, shall we? Our little modification is working pretty good. This burn has lasted twice as long as the previous ones. Ah, look. We've got some curry going in the pot. It's looking up, peeps, it's looking up. Don't give up yet. Oh my god, it smells so good. Well, my only concern now is get it burning long enough to soften up my sweet potatoes. I did have the foresight to chop them nice and small, so hopefully that won't be too long. But that is looking pretty darn tasty. It smells good too. All is not yet lost, my friends. Onward. I'm about 90% there with my curry in my zebra pot. I just want to give it a little tickle more. So we've got no more fuel left for the Trangia, so I'm going to try and rely on starting up the Campfire. Now I got a little tip on fire lighters. This is just a cotton wool pad which has been soaked in wax. If the wick burns down and you find you've still got a little bit of wax left in a little tea light or a candle, that's perfect to just heat up gently, and then you can get a few of these cotton pad fire lighters out of it. I'm going to unroll them and then fluff up some of that cotton so that it should take a spark from the ferro rod. I've also scavenged around. I've found some nice dry pine cones which are fantastic fire starters, and then we've got some twigs working up to some slightly larger sticks, and over there I've got a nice little stockpile while our curry was bubbling away. So let's see if we can get our Campfire started. Get our pine cones in there. There she's taken. Smells good too. Apple, this one. Apple wax. Right, get those pine cones on there. So that's just one cotton wool pad drenched in wax. Let's see if it's enough to get this fire started. It's been a very wet summer. It's been an absolutely garbage summer, and we're all really sick of it over here in the UK. We've had a couple of blessed evenings where the sun did manage to poke out, but not very many of them. So all of this timber is actually rather wet. So fingers crossed it's small enough alongside those pine cones to start burning. On that. Probably be a smoky one for a minute or two. Some friends of mine, Gina and Mark of the band Long Holiday, have a little girl called Ivy, and she tunes into the show and watches it, and I'm known to her as Campfire Sam. So here you go, Ivy. Here's Sam with a campfire. There you go, very fitting. It's working. It's working. Excellent. Just working up from small sticks to bigger ones. Oh, it's going to be great. Right, if I get this stoked up properly, I can toast the rest of me curry pot on it, and then we'll have a lovely bit of company while we have some delicious dinner. It's working out great. It was a ropey start, but we're getting there. How's that? A fire in damp conditions with one cotton wool pad and a little bit of wax. Excellent. Love it. Great success.
Well, I started this episode in a little bit of a down mood, didn't I? Had a lot of problems coming our way. Must admit I've been pretty tired lately. Been working like a demon. But we've overcome our problems, haven't we? And it looks like supper's just on the horizon. It's all working out all right in the end. I can't wait to eat that curry. That's going to be right lush. Proper cozy little setup we got going on now. Very nice too. Oh, it smells good. Ah, lovely. Oh, lamb curry with sweet potatoes and rice. Absolutely delicious smelling. Shed a bit of light on this situation, shall us? Oh, we did it! We did it! Let's serve it up, shall we? Oh, yeah! How's that, ladies and gents? Doesn't that look good? Lamb sweet potato Japanese curry with rice. And a green chilli for the extra spicy. Right then, well, that lid can go back on there in case we want seconds. I do feel like today I might have the appetite of a hobbit. Whack that back on there, keep it warm. Oh. Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, finally. Finally. It smells wonderful. Cheers, everybody. Yes! We did it. Mmm. Oh. All that trouble. And it turned out so good. So worth it. Well, I tell you what, we learnt a lot of lessons tonight though. Definitely found out a lot of ways how I'm not going to do things in the future. This is the middle of the working week for me, so I kind of packed my camping gear in a great big hurry last night. Didn't quite think out the trip properly. And that's what you get when you're slightly underprepared. But we've adapted, we've overcome. And here are the spoils of our turmoil. Mm. Oh yes, absolutely nailed it. Got our little campfire going for a little bit, and then we'll set up our hammock and get snugly cozy. Lovely. Well, I've had a whopper of a portion of curry, and it has cheered me right up. I feel very happy and satisfied now. That's a good thing. I did the classic have a light lunch because I knew I was going to have a feast this evening, and then worked really hard at work. And then of course that means that you go on the camp incredibly hungry, and when you're hungry and you're tired, things often go wrong. I think we've redeemed ourselves from that less than stellar start to the episode, don't you? I'm gonna get my little campfire tickling away happily now. We've got loads of dead trees around, which is great, so you can just snap the branches off and it's nice and dry wood on the inside. It burns an absolute beauty. It doesn't take much effort to actually snap the twigs into burnable chunks. So I think now's the time to get our hammock set up. Oh, I'm hoping to sleep like a baby in a crib tonight. Hey! I wonder if he likes curry. Woohoo! Well everyone, I think that's me for tonight. I'm going to get myself all snugly in my hammock here, watch the last of the fire, and get some well-deserved shut-eye. Oh, I've got my snug pack blanket. I've got my new DD Jura sleeping bag, which is designed for the hammocks because it's got the zip up the middle, which is way better than the classic sleeping bag I was using before with the zipper at the side, because it doesn't quite work with it. Oh, thanks for joining me on this evening's camp, and I will see you guys in the morning, alright? Good night. Well, good morning everyone. That was a lovely night's sleep. I slept right the way through, no bother. We didn't get a drop of rain, which was great, and I was super warm and comfortable. So mission success after that ropey start we had. It's a gorgeous day today. I think I might go mooching down the coastline, so I'm going to get all my stuff packed up, go and have a wander and see the kids. Now we're all packed. Just before I go, these trees I was under last night are all covered in these tiny little pine cones, and they are absolutely brilliant fire starters. So I'm just going to grab a little handful of them and chuck them in my fire pit box for next time when we need to light it. There we are. And some. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. We got to go and get out of here. I really hope that you've enjoyed that camp out with me last night. I had a good time in the end. May have been a cold start, but we got there. If you enjoy these episodes, please like and subscribe to the channel. Helps out a lot. And hopefully, I'll see you guys on another camping trip real soon. Cheers then.